So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise.
Wrote it, you know what I'm saying? I paid the for the beat. I paid you for loaning me the money, you know what I'm saying? I paid you back your money. Now we splitting because you loaned me the money. Yeah. But you own my I don't owe you a thing. Why is you holding on to my
Yeah.
And that's standard.
Few of us will do well. The majority will not.
$25,000 signing bonus, advance, and 2 cents off every game we sell.
They know what they're doing.
$50 game. You giving me 2 cents? Let me think about that for a minute.
DMX pulled up to a club in Toronto thinking it'd be a chill night, just vibes and music. But the moment he locked eyes with Prince, everything changed. Whatever went down that night hit DMX so deep, he said it felt like getting schooled by your own grandpa. Wild.
And sat down and schooled me, I felt like a little kid.
In a good way.
I felt like
he's the OG.
Like my grandfather
about
smacked me like, what the f is wrong with you?
Now, if you know anything about DMX, you know this dude wasn't the type to get shaken easily. In his own words, he once claimed there wouldn't even be a Ja Rule if he really wanted to shut it down. So what in the world did Prince say that caught him off guard like that?
We had a club, and Prince comes in, big security guard. We go inside, whatever. He's like,
he pointed at you and said, like, yeah, great to say that, X.
Born Earl Simmons on December 18th, 1970, in Mount Vernon, New York, but raised out in Yonkers, DMX came up in chaos. His childhood was rough from the jump. His mom, Annette Simmons, raised him solo in a brutal neighborhood, and life at home was no better. DMX grew up without love, facing regular beatings and harsh words from the very person meant to protect him. He found himself in and out of group homes before he even hit 8 years old. Even as a little kid, DMX had this raw, wild energy. He trusted stray dogs more than people. They didn't judge, they didn't lie, and they had that same fire inside. That bond with animals, it wasn't just emotional, it became his identity. Darkman X, DMX. His first arrest.
What was it like being around DMX?
DMX was dangerous, man. Like, not dangerous, but he's like, when you around him, he's like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Very unpredictable.
He was born Prince Rogers Nelson. And by the age of 7, he was playing the piano. It's just one of the many instruments he's mastered over the years. He's written songs for the most popular singers of the day and has gotten countless awards. This is the baddest man around.
At just 15, he got locked up for stealing a dog. Spent 2 years in juvie. But while behind those bars, he wasn't wasting time. He was beatboxing, spitting rhymes, and building a name. Imagine a teenager in handcuffs, going bar for bar in the middle of a juvenile center. That was X, raw, fearless, and full of rage. By his teens, he was battling MCs in Yonkers parks after dark, turning pain into power through rap. But this wasn't just music, it was survival. DMX wasn't playing a part. He was the streets, he was the struggle, and it all ran deep in his blood. Jermaine Dupri once told a wild story that shows just how intense DMX could be. While Jermaine was working on his album, Life, in 1472, he set up a studio session with DMX in New York. Trying to get some extra buzz for the project, he invited a journalist, reportedly from The Source, to come in and capture the behind-the-scenes magic. The writer got to the studio early, waiting for everyone else to show. Not long after, DMX rolled up, with both of his dogs by his side, like always during that time.
What amazed me, perhaps more than anything else, is how often I would come in and I'd see the mic in front of the chair in a sitting position, and you'd realize he had done a lot of that stuff sitting down.
But before Jermaine could even get there, things had already gone sideways. According to Dupri, DMX straight up pressed the journalist. No weapons, no threats, just DMX, those snarling dogs, and that wild energy. He looked the guy up and down, asked who he was and what he had on him, and just like that, the journalist folded. No one got touched, but the vibe was so intense, the man handed everything over. Just off DMX's presence alone, Plus those dogs staring him down like they were ready to pounce. That's the kind of force DMX carried. He didn't need violence, just his voice, that growl, and the loyalty of his animals. And guess what? The reporter dipped fast. Gone.
All the stuff you'd hear coming from the door.
Wow.
But see, Prince he would have the one track. So if he made a mistake, he'd roll back. But so often it would be one pass, and then you'd hear him doing the backing harmonies.
Now that you've got a taste of who DMX really was back then, it's time to flip the page and talk about Prince. Yeah, that Prince. The world saw him as the mysterious music icon with the wild fashion and hypnotic voice. But behind that purple glamour, Prince was a machine. Strategic, disciplined, tough as nails. He wasn't just an artist, he was a full-blown empire by himself. He dropped 39 albums over 40 years, almost one every year. And that's not even the wildest part. It's said he wrote anywhere from 500 to over 1,000 songs, many of them still locked away in his legendary vault. Prince didn't just make music, he breathed it.
As long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings.
Sometimes he'd create a whole song from scratch, lyrics, vocals, instruments, even mixing, all in one day. And in some cases, a whole album in just a week. That's how hard he worked. Every beat, every note was part of his legacy. Prince wasn't just about speed in the studio, it was the vibe he brought that left people stunned. One studio engineer swore the man would go 40 hours straight, chasing the rawest emotion he could pull out of a track. Most times, they'd keep the first or second take. Not because it was polished, but because it hit different. It was real. He signed with Warner Bros. While still a teen, and by 1978, Prince dropped his debut album For You. But get this, he didn't just sing on it. He wrote every word, produced every beat, arranged every note, played every instrument, sang every line, and even engineered it himself. Warner tried pushing an executive producer on him. But Prince, he wasn't about to hand the wheel to anybody else. He demanded full control, and got it. That fearless independence became his signature move.
It seems like Prince is a G, man. Every story we got, is good.
Everybody
Love Prince.
who didn't know Prince would kind of make fun of the heels.
Then came the explosion. Purple Rain in 1984. The movie and the album. It shot him into the stratosphere. Songs like When Doves Cry, Let's Go Crazy, and Purple Rain weren't just hits. They were proof that Prince didn't play by the rules. He made the rules. His sound was a wild cocktail. Punk, rock, soul, pop, all clashing and blending like nothing the world had ever heard. And his style, just as untouchable. Prince shattered expectations. Gender lines, fashion limits, whatever society thought was normal. He flipped all of it upside down. He owned over 3,000 custom high heels, handmade by Andre No. 1, most of them dipped in custom purples. But these weren't just for show. They were reinforced for those explosive, high-energy performances that had crowds losing their minds. And when it came to tech, Prince didn't care for no fancy digital tricks, no 3D scans. He wanted everything handmade, built on feeling, not formulas. At his Paisley Park compound, his outfits were made by in-house designers, using his late-night sketches and wild on-the-spot ideas. Lace, sequins, sharp cuts, raw seams. He wore it all like walking art. But behind all that glam, a battle was brewing. In the late 80s and early 90s, Prince started clashing hard with Warner Brothers. They wanted just one album a year. One. That's not how Prince operated. This man was cooking up new songs daily. So he said, forget it.
Companies felt otherwise, and they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair.
And started flipping the industry on its head. In 1985, Prince shook the industry by launching Paisley Park Records. And by the early 90s, he followed it up with NPG Records. That's when the battle got real. In a move that left the world speechless, Prince changed his name to a symbol and started showing up with the word slave written across his face. But this wasn't for attention. It was a battle cry. To Prince, this wasn't just about contracts, it was about freedom. If you don't own your masters, he said, your master owns you. That hit hard. By 1996, after he delivered the last albums on his contract, Prince finally broke free. He called it emancipation and meant every letter of it. Now, with full control, he started dropping music on his terms. He even cut out the middlemen, launching platforms like the MPG Music Club and Lotus Flow 3R, selling directly to fans before most artists even dreamed of it. Prince didn't just create, he dominated the process. He wrote, produced, arranged, engineered, and played every single instrument on many of his records. Albums like Dirty Mind and Prince Self-Titled were early proof that he didn't need help. He was the studio. His sound, always evolving. One minute it's rock, the next it's funk, then jazz, electronica, soul, all blended into one track like he was cooking magic in real time. From Sign of the Times to Love Sexy, every project felt like a reinvention. He was dropping music at a speed labels couldn't keep up with, and he didn't want anyone touching his vision. Prince flat out rejected outside producers.
What is it exactly that you want to be free from when you're talking about your record company?
In your job, can you leave it if you want to?
Yeah, I can.
You can? Well, in the record industry, you can't.
When Warner execs tried stepping in during his early days, he kicked them out, straight up. He made it crystal clear no one was going to water down his sound. And every time he got a mic in front of him, he exposed the game. He called the music industry what it was, a rigged system. As long as you sign that contract, he warned, you're getting the smaller cut, period. Some moments don't scream, they cut deep. One conversation, one powerful presence, one undeniable truth, and your whole world shifts. That's what happened to DMX. That man was Prince. And it wasn't just DMX who saw him that way. Even Cat Williams, the wild, outspoken comedian, once said Prince was someone he looked up to. But DMX, this wasn't your average dude. So now picture him, DMX posted up in a Toronto club, cooling off after filming Exit Wounds, just vibing out, music booming, lights low, energy high. He's in his zone, and then boom, someone walks in. But not just anyone. Prince, small in size, but his presence, massive. You might be thinking, what could this soft-spoken, high-heel-wearing man possibly say to someone as gritty and intense as DMX that would make him stop and go, Prince blew my mind? But it wasn't what he said. It was how he moved. Prince wasn't just fashion and flair. Yeah, he rocked lace shirts, velvet suits, and heels like it was nothing. Dude looked like part rock star, part spirit, almost like he floated in another dimension. People didn't know how to box him in.
Oh, the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise.
Was he shy? Was he arrogant? A genius? The answer, all of it. He was a walking contradiction, and nobody could touch him. Even DMX admitted people used to clown Prince. They joked about the heels, the glitter, the soft tone, called him Prince Gangsta as a joke. Like, how could a man dressed like that be hard? And that's exactly why what happened next flipped everything on its head. That night in the club, Prince wasn't what DMX, or anyone, expected. He came in smooth, quiet, but the power in his walk, unreal. He gave DMX a little nod, motioned for him to come over. No drama, no noise, just presence. Then, with a calm voice, he told security to make space. And they did. The crowd parted like water. Tables got moved. People backed up fast. Half the club cleared just so Prince and DMX could sit alone. They talked for over an hour, just the two of them, and that's what hit DMX the hardest. This wasn't some flashy celeb moment. This was real. DMX had rolled with giants, Jay-Z, Tupac, even had ties with serious street crews like the Latin Kings. He knew what powerful men looked like. But Prince, he didn't flex muscles. He didn't raise his voice. He sat with DMX, leaned in, and dropped wisdom. And that shook DMX to the core. They didn't sit there chatting about the spotlight or chasing fame. Nah. Prince and DMX got into real talk, deep stuff. Ownership, purpose. What life really means when the lights go out. And right there, in that moment, every joke, every stereotype people had about Prince, gone. Prince didn't just earn respect that night. He flipped the whole idea of what respect even looked like to DMX. It hit that deep. Years later, DMX could barely talk about it without emotion in his voice. And when a man like DMX, who survived the block, the booth, and battles most people can't even imagine, says something moved him, you listen. Because sometimes the realest moments don't come from who you expect. That night in a Toronto club, two legends linked. Not through ego, not through beef, but through truth. So what did Prince say? Whatever it was, DMX wasn't talking. He was listening, eyes wide, silent, soaking it up. No cap, what you're about to hear is a story most fans never even knew happened. But it came from someone who was done with record labels and all their games. DMX had a rare talent, and Prince, he saw that. Their convo lasted about an hour, but left an impact that stuck for years. One of the key things they broke down, masters. Now let's get into it, because a lot of people outside the music world don't even realize what that means. The master is the original, highest quality recording of a track or album. Every version out there, whether it's a CD, a stream on Spotify, a vinyl record, or even a clip on TikTok, all of it comes from that one master. And here's what Prince was always shouting about. Whoever owns the master owns the music. Simple as that. Think of it like land. If you own the land, you can rent it, sell it, build on it, or let it sit. You make the rules. But if someone else owns it,
these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
you just live there. You follow their rules. And in music, most artists, especially when they're young and hungry, sign contracts that give their labels full control of those masters. They lose the crown before they even knew they were wearing one. That's the cold truth. When you don't own your masters, you don't run your own show. You can't control where your song ends up, how much it's licensed for, or even if it ever gets re-released. You're just a passenger. The label takes the front seat, eats first, and tosses the artist a small cut after the real money's already gone. That's the game. And Prince, he wasn't having it. He fought back, hard. But to really understand why that Toronto club moment meant so much to DMX, you gotta know why Prince fought the way he did. Back in the 90s, Prince pulled a move no one saw coming. He went to battle with Warner Brothers over ownership of his masters. Now keep in mind, by then Prince wasn't some rookie. He was one of the biggest names on earth. But even with all that fame, he still didn't own the music he made with his own two hands. He wrote it, he produced it, he performed every damn note. But on paper, it didn't belong to him. And that didn't sit right. So Prince made a move that shocked the industry. He changed his name to a symbol, literally. He walked around with slave written across his face, refused to answer to Prince, and told the world to call him the artist formerly known as Prince. People laughed, called him dramatic, said he'd lost it. But Prince wasn't trying to entertain. He was making a statement. He was calling the music biz out for what it was. He said it plain. Most artists were stuck in contracts that worked like modern-day plantations. Harsh truth. But he said it anyway. Not for shock, but for change. And he didn't stop there. He started dropping music on his own terms. No middlemen, no execs. He built his own distribution channels, even bundled albums directly with concert tickets, way before anyone else thought of it. That was decades ahead of streaming and social media. Eventually, Prince won. He got his masters back. But even bigger than that, he lit the path for every artist after him. He set the bar. He showed them, if you don't own your music, you don't own your legacy. Prince didn't just talk. He showed artists that saying no was an option, that standing up, pushing back, and calling out the system wasn't career suicide. It was power. His interviews, unfiltered, his protests, loud, and the word slave scrawled across his face, that was him screaming truth when the world wanted silence. But over time, Prince's mission evolved. He stopped talking about vague, bad deals and faceless corporations. He started naming names, pulling back the curtain, pointing fingers at people who, in his eyes, were helping keep the machine running. One name kept popping up: Sean Diddy Combs. Now, don't get it twisted. Prince didn't hate on Diddy's fame or fortune. He even respected the hustle. But what shook him was the power moves Diddy was making behind closed doors. The silent partnerships, the quiet alliances. To Prince, those weren't just business deals. They were part of the very system he'd been fighting his whole life. He believed Diddy's influence was helping keep artists trapped, just with shinier chains.
Disintegration going on that we really have to address.
Your masters, he explained how to, gave him the symbol.
Prince was worried it was all getting reset. Progress slipping backwards, dressed up as success. And it burned him. See, for Prince, the issue had moved beyond just owning music. Now, it was about influence. Who had it, how they used it, and whether they were lifting others up or keeping them stuck in the same cycle. Record labels didn't care what kind of message the music had, they just cared that it sold. Values? Gone. Morals? Replaced with profit margins. But here's the question everyone's thinking. Did DMX take that wisdom to heart? Did he fight for his masters? Did he flip the script? The truth? It's not that simple. That powerful moment with Prince, yeah, it hit DMX deep, but it didn't lead to some fairy tale comeback. Not because he didn't want change, but because by then it was already messy. DMX was tangled in lawsuits, buried under bad contracts, fighting addiction, and carrying pain from years back. His battles weren't just legal, they were personal. DMX didn't ease into the rap game. He exploded into it, fast, raw, and unfiltered. And that speed came with a cost. In just 3 years, DMX did what most rappers still haven't touched. He dropped 5 multi-platinum albums back-to-back. That run, legendary. But while fans saw the numbers, the fame, and the fire tracks, behind the curtain, DMX wasn't seeing the money he earned. The truth? He didn't even own his masters. Some of his biggest anthems, Rough Riders Anthem, Slippin', Party Up, all under label control. And once you sign those masters away in your early contracts, good luck getting them back. It's a long, brutal, and expensive fight. Even after that life-changing talk with Prince, DMX didn't have the legal firepower or financial muscle to undo those old deals. And let's be real, the music industry ain't built for artists to take back power easily, especially not when they're fighting inner demons at the same time. By 2013, the cracks were showing. DMX officially filed for bankruptcy. The court file said it all, around $50,000 in assets, but over $1 million in debt. Let that sink in.
I wrote it, you know what I'm saying? I paid the for the beat. I paid you for loaning me the money, you know what I'm saying? I paid you back your money. Now we splitting because you loaned me the money, but you own my I don't owe you a thing. Why is you holding on to my And that's standard.
A man whose voice made millions for labels and execs was drowning. He owed heavy in child support, taxes, legal fees, and with his criminal record, booking shows got harder and harder. Less shows meant less cash. The comeback road, rough. And it got worse. Reports even claimed he didn't have full access to his own royalties. When you don't own your masters, you're stuck relying on shows and tours to pay the bills. But if life hits you, addiction, jail time, aging out of the tour game, that money dries up fast. And without ownership, you're left with scraps. So yeah, you gotta ask, what if DMX had owned his masters? What if he'd had a real shot to cash in on what he created? DMX was never broken the way people like to say. He wasn't soft, he wasn't lost. But deep down, he was hurting, spiritually. He said it more than once, money was never the goal. He didn't rap to get rich, he rapped to be heard. To scream the pain, cry through the chaos, and find some kind of healing. But the industry, it runs on cash. And when the money stopped, the world stopped listening. There's no official word that DMX ever got back ownership of his masters before his passing in 2021. Most of his iconic catalog still locked under Def Jam and Rough Riders. There were whispers, rumors, maybe his estate would fight to reclaim it. But as of now, nothing's been confirmed. And that's the heartbreak. Not just that DMX left this world too soon, but that a man who poured everything into his art never got to own the very thing he created. Even after that deep convo with Prince, it's like painting your soul on a canvas. only to be told you'll never get to hang it in your own home. Still, something changed after that talk. DMX started speaking differently, sharper, realer. He began warning younger artists, don't just sign the first deal, read the fine print, know what you're giving up. Even though he couldn't rewrite his own past, he was planting seeds for the next generation. That's where Prince's words echoed the loudest, because that message, it wasn't just for DMX, it was for all artists, past, present, and future. For every kid holding a mic, dreaming of a deal, thinking that signing a contract is the finish line. Prince made DMX look inside himself, and DMX turned around and told others, don't just be a voice on wax, own that voice. In the end, this story isn't just about music, it's about legacy. What you leave behind when the spotlight fades. Prince showed DMX that being a gangster ain't just about surviving the streets, it's about surviving the system. It's about guarding your name, your voice, your art, even when the industry's trying to package and sell your soul. DMX may not have had the time to get it all back, but he woke up. And sometimes that shift in mindset, that awakening, is the real win. If you felt this story, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Much love, and we'll catch you on the next one.